Yes, sir. We are ready to roll on a whatever day it is.
That's the day.
Whatever day it is.
It's a game day.
So welcome to that day. Welcome to game day. Get your helmet on. The first meeting of the season between the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames.
The Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. How's it going, Vancouver Canucks and Calgary Flames fans? They're right there behind the Flames in the standings.
I was going to say,
and one city
Vancouver,
is just like smoking rubble,
yeah,
and it's like wasteland. It's like, oh, the apocalypse happened here. That's crazy. Is there any life here? And the other's like, no, we're going to stay the course. We'll be okay.
Yeah. One team is talking about who should they not sell at the deadline.
Right. Yeah.
And the other team is who can we get at the deadline?
Yeah.
There are, 4 points separating the two teams?
Yeah, I think a win or two difference. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that just a Vancouver thing?
I think it's kind of the life cycle thing. And I think there's a little more stability here where it's the people in the jobs they have a little more track record. Like, do you know who's going to be coaching the Canucks in a month? I don't. I know who's coaching the Flames in a month. What do we know about the Canucks GM? Not a lot. Who makes the decisions there? I really don't know.
And this is maybe not a good example to throw out, but how much of it is to do with their goaltending play? Because Demko is injured and it's been
he's had a tough year.
Meanwhile, in Calgary, you know who the two goalies are, but I don't know. Are they getting world's better goaltending?
I don't know that goaltending's been a huge gap. I feel like Flames fans have been happy with Vladar, and I guess the last week you got a 953 from Markstrom in his last two starts. That's the tiniest of samples, but he looked really damn good against Montreal. So there's probably a little more confidence than Spencer Martin or Colin Delia,
yeah.
Depending how and when we talked about him in the last 5 years.
It's going to be hard for the Flames to game plan because they've never played against Spencer Martin and only once against Colin Delia.
The good news is, though, is they can call the AHL team and ask them about Spencer Martin.
You know, and that's what it is for the Canucks. Goals for 9th in the NHL.
Okay.
Their power play since October 24th, I think I saw this morning. Number 1 in the league.
Wow. Yeah, Patterson's been on a heater here. He's got a couple overtime goals of late too.
Goals against 30th. So yeah, it would seem like
they just need to spend more on their D. Except that they're already spending way more on their D than the Flames to have one of the worst D in the NHL.
Yeah, and I did see some of the hand-wringing is over whether or not you should trade Luke Schenn.
Well, it's a character guy.
And when they lost Chris Tanev, the character.
I don't know they're the same player.
Don't think so?
No, I really don't.
No.
I'm sure they're both great guys.
8 o'clock start tonight. We know that Markstrom's going to go.
Markstrom is in, and rightfully so. I think you were tweeting at 1,000 in the morning today saying it's got to be Markstrom tonight, right? And everyone's
former team, been playing great.
Dean, go to sleep. Don't tweet about Markstrom at 3:48 in the morning. You're fucking crazy. Get some sleep.
As we alluded to yesterday, get some run support.
Yes, he's had 3 goals in run support total his last 4 games.
All 4 of them losses.
Yes. Well, and you'd understand why. When you score 0, 1, 1, and 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get me 2, guys. Could you get me
2? That feels like a lot.
Daryl says it's a 3-2 league. 3-2 league. Now, morning skate. No Chris Tanev, not surprising after the shot he took a couple nights ago.
When he left that game, there was not a, hey, he'll be back down the tunnel in a moment. It's like, oof.
No.
When will we see him next?
Weegar and Lindholm back on the ice, both in regular rushes during practice or during the morning skate for what that's worth. So I expect both of those guys to play. Looks like Phillips will come out. Richie comes back in. Maybe some shuffling in the bottom 6. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, it's all right. It's not the biggest deal, but guy's posted. It's going pretty good.
Yeah. 8 o'clock though, eh?
Good for me.
Do we still get to bitch even though we don't have to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning?
It's perfect for me. My kids are almost asleep by that point. For you, I worry. Because I feel like you're a sneaky fall asleep early and then wake up in the middle of the night and either cook stew or just stew.
It's not ideal. In your life. It's a lot of stewing. Yeah. Stressing and stewing.
It's the stew existence.
Yeah. We are sending someone to the game tonight. Mad Rose Pub.
Is it me?
No. You got those kids. You got those kids to put to bed.
It's a late game, Dean.
Mad Rose Pub, our hookup for tickets with the Flames tonight. We were on Twitter yesterday. Hey, tag and follow in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Matt McQueen.
Really?
Maddie
Matt McQueen?
Yep.
Double M? Magic Mitts, Matt McQueen
off to the game tonight. Congratulations, Matt. I think our next chance is now in the new year. Because I think
it better be, because there's not a lot of shows between now and next home.
Didn't we give away Arizona, Minnesota, Vancouver? That's 3 guys.
It's a lot of late.
What else do you want? Jesus Christ.
You want me to go buy you the nachos and put the cheese in the little container for you? You can do that. You're grown up.
Jeez. So congrats, Matt. In the new year, more chances to win. madrose.pub. And I hear we're going.
Get your own damn nachos, Matt.
That's right.
We're getting you in the game. You get your nachos.
Get off your wallet, you cheap prick. Congrats, Matt.
Love you, Matt.
We are putting the Top Shelf Elf Christmas thing to bed tonight, 10 p.m. The donation page and the auction page will close. We'll gather up the loot. We'll send it off to closer to home. But as it turns out, we're not the only ones trying to
save Christmas.
Nice things for people.
Well, Santa.
This is the rare time that we actually are trying to do something nice for other people.
We met people that were better than us, and they had some good ideas, and we found we could help them a little bit.
Whatever.
Mostly it's people better than us, yeah.
But we'll get into that in a little bit, because the packages are worth attention, and your bids and all of that. And again, depending on when you listen to this, because it's podcast, but 10 o'clock tonight, or by the time you listen to it, it could be over, whatever. We'll talk about that. But our next guest joining us here in studio, all he does is nice things.
He's a giver.
People. He gives and he gives and he gives. God, he buys his own nachos.
You're damn right he does.
A member of the 1989 Stanley Cup champion Calgary Flames joining us here in Marda Loop in our studios, the Tower Chrysler Studios. He is Colin Patterson.
Patter, harumph, harumph.
Thank you, guys. I just, you know what? I was so excited when you invited me on the show, and I can't wait to see and talk to Rhett.
Yeah, Rhett, tell you there.
Rhett.
Oh,
yeah, there it is. Oh, no. As we fade to black, you're wearing your Bills.
I said Rhett's gonna love this.
Covering everything for him. You know, the alumni, the Bills. Like,
there it is.
There's our four-shot.
There's our four-shot.
Yeah, to the bottom left.
Just a black.
You didn't let him know I was coming on early, did you?
Well, I think he knew you were coming on.
Maybe, yeah.
That's actually a close-up of Rhett's heart. That's why it's pitch black.
I'm sure it's a coincidence, Patter. Don't take it personal.
I won't take it personal.
Don't take it personal at all. And so are you a Bills fan now? Because you're a former Sabre.
Former Sabre, obviously a Bills fan. I became a Bills fan back in the 70s.
Well, pre-Sabres. Wow.
Yeah, pre-Sabres. And, you know, back in the, if we can say his name, OJ, the Juice days.
Yeah.
You know, and they had it was a pretty exciting team back then, and then they went through a little bit of a lull, and then in the 90s, obviously, they had just a great team with Jim Kelly leading the troops, and we happened to be there for 2 of the runs for the Super Bowl, and the place, I mean, Buffalo is football crazy.
Yeah,
hockey's good, but it's crazy for football.
Because you're an Ontario kid, right?
Exactly.
So
right there.
Did you get to games, or was it just kind of one of those things? They were proximity,
but I went to a couple of games too as well.
Yeah.
And, much like the snow they had a couple of weeks ago, my first game, they had a huge snowfall, and it was against Minnesota Vikings. And Chuck Foreman, who was a running back for Minnesota, got hit in the eye with a snowball.
Come on.
And then badmouthed, obviously, Buffalo. So,
of course. Yeah. Can't come to Buffalo.
A crazy game. It took us about 2.5 to 3 hours to get there from Toronto, and it took probably 5 hours to get home. Yeah, it was awful.
Do you keep tabs with OJ? Are you still tight with the Juice?
No, but I did see him. I did see him on the highway back in 1980.
Right?
Down in LA.
Now I might have my timeline wrong, but he's looking for the killers, so he's real busy.
Now he's busy. Now you see him on the highway. He's just picking garbage in the ditch. That's right.
It's like he's not wearing the orange
jumpsuit on. Well, we're gonna shoot the shit here with you, but I want to get it before, because I will forget about it. You with the Flames alumni, we're having some fun, but it's true. It seems like every 2 or 3 days, members of the alumni, you're either bagging lunches for kids to take to school, or you're in the community a ton. And for our perspective, it's the most active alumni in the National Hockey League. I don't even know if you would argue with that. We hear that St. Louis does great things, but the Calgary Flames alumni does a ton. The the toy drive is on once again. If Rhett were here, he'd take credit for it. He would say, "Yeah, I started this in Buffalo."
I did this in Buffalo. It's his idea. He's idea guy.
And you know what? He is an idea guy, and he did bring the idea to the Flames alumni, and he was he was the chairman of the drive, and he did a great job. Yeah. And now
pulled the pin out of the grenade, threw it over the fence, and then ran.
Go get him, boys!
Yeah. But that's his style, and once you know the style, it's great. Yeah. And I mean this concept of him coming up with the toy drive for us was great. It was brilliant because our alumni, as you said, does a lot of stuff. We probably did 200 events last year. Our alumni,
that's incredible.
Different separate events, through the year.
Yeah.
Because guys are going to schools, they're going to hospitals. They've got women in need. They've got kids sport, CP kids, golf tournaments, hockey games. We've got a game coming up on Friday, the mustard seed. We play a game at Springbank School, and this is, I think, probably our 19th or 20th year we've done it.
Yeah.
And it was all started by one of Lanny's sons, Graham, who said, "Dad, we want to do something for the mustard seed, but we'd like to have something where the Flames alumni come out and help out." So we have a game at Springbank. And the kids, to get in, they have to bring a sock filled with, whatever items they can put in that, people from Mustard Seed are going to need.
Gotcha.
And it's great. And then, they get cash donations and some food donations. So, yeah, it's this is, I think, our 19th or 20th year we've done this.
It is amazing.
200 events. Like that's nutso.
Yeah.
Like you're busier than some rinks in this country.
So on the screen now on our YouTube feed, but if you're listening, the TELUS building, the beautiful new TELUS Sky building, between now and Friday the 16th, which is just a couple days, you can drop off toys there. The game on Friday against the St. Louis Blues, if you're going to the game, drop off a toy. There's going to be alumni members there. You can get an autograph. And then there's some, go to flamesalumni.com is probably the way to go. All the details there.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's a couple other drop-off locations too. Eau Claire Market, or Claire Tower, I guess it's called, and then Centennial Place, and then the Devon Tower. So they've got locations there that you can drop stuff off, obviously, with the TELUS Sky. And TELUS has become a great partner with us this year. And it's really good to have that. Obviously the toys are needed, the gifts are needed, but one thing that, we tend to forget is the food vouchers and cards for, all the different grocery stores that people will need to go to. Because I think this year it's going to be a lot different than years in the past, where there's going to be a tremendous need for that.
Yeah.
You know what? Greg Keller with Bonton Meats is one of our great sponsors, and he had kind of said that you can, and it's no disrespect, you can give away a turkey or you can do that sort of thing. Well, that's one meal, but if you can do cards or whatever, you can spread it over a few meals. You can maybe make it count a little bit more. So for sure, those are very important. And now, do you guys, because I saw some of the videos online, I saw Otto and yourself and Jelena guys delivering some of that stuff. Is that still happening?
Yeah, we go out the morning of the 24th, Christmas Eve, and we deliver. We go out with the Calgary Police, and it's the Calgary Police Services and the Calgary Police Youth Society that help drive this too. They bring the families, and they have a great program. And so we go out with them and we deliver gifts. Yeah, if we're going back to Rexdale, where I grew up, and the police, vehicle pulled out there, but the lights would be out and everybody would be running out the back door. But no, it's great to help out, and it's great that, we have that connection with the police too, to be able to help support them.
Can you describe those emotions?
It's tough. I mean, there's places you walk into where they have absolutely zero things under the tree, and there might be 3 or 4 kids there. And it's gut wrenching that way to think of the need that is in this city. And, when you're able to come in with a bag load of toys, it's just a great feeling. And everybody is very thankful and appreciative of it. Whether it's the parents, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, and the kids are just beside themselves. And typically, with the parents, we say, let them open one gift, because it's tough to, you put out all these gifts and they got to wait another day to open them. Yeah. So you get to see the joy in their faces too of opening an item. And some people are, new to Canada, and some are, many generations here. So it is a wide variety of people that you help and support. And it's, as I said, it's very warming and heartwarming to be able to help out and do a little bit, to our part to make somebody's day or life better.
Yeah, and you think about the kids, they get toys and that's great, but how great the gift is you're giving to the parents who suddenly have Christmas for their kids. You don't think about in that vein until you have kids of your own, and then you think, what if this were the situation? What a gift to have someone show up at your door and have presents for their kids. It's amazing. I would think it's got to be extremely emotional, because it's just, okay, you gotta get over, okay, next house. Yeah. And then you go through all those emotions again, just house after house after house. Is there any way, are you behind in terms, or do you have any idea where you are at as far as gathering toys, the need, the supply, where you're at right now?
Yeah, sort of the need is more the question right now, because, supply will happen over the next few days when people start, generously giving gifts and being at the rink and, donating as well. But the needs are, as we talked about, the food and clothing is also a big need, jackets. And last year we went out, we got jackets for, all the families, and, they need those. And yeah. I remember a funny story about 5 years ago when we first started this, we had one of the families, and they said, they're new to Canada, they need winter coats, well, what size are they? Well, large and, a medium, large men, medium women. So, we got there, had the large men's, and, unfortunately this guy was about 5'5", and, yeah. This thing was just draping off him. And, the poor mother, the lady was, probably a small, yeah. But we helped them out. And we went back, we got the right size jackets, but those are always key things, toques and gloves and stuff like that. Obviously the toys are big, and, the range of toys, it goes from, babies, infants to, kids who are 19 or 20.
Yeah.
It is a wide range. And what we do is we have extra toys. We go to Women in Need, and we go to the Children's Hospital with them.
I was going to ask you about that. Is there, if people see this, hear this, and want to bring toys to the game or whatever, is there any kind of direction that we can give them, or it's just anything that's toy related is going to work?
Yeah, I think anything, it's tough to say, hey, yeah. we need this particular one, because then you end up with, 1,000 of those items.
I guess,
but
yeah.
So it's whatever people feel that they can, do to support us is great. And we're always very appreciative of whatever people can bring. And, you get, young kids coming in, and it's a great lesson for them. Their parents make them come up and give us the gift. And it's really neat to see, the joy in their face too.
FlamesAlumni.com, right?
CalgaryFlamesAlumni.com.
Yeah.
So you got Calgary in front. Yeah. I'm on the website now.
Okay.
Yeah.
CalgaryFlamesAlumni.com. All of the drop-off points, all the details that you need. We'll throw that graphic up later on before we say goodbye to Patter, but that is the way to do it. Awesome job. I was looking this morning. We're with FlamesNation, FlamesNation.ca, number 47 on the all-time list of the top 50 Calgary Flames.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. It'll be a couple more years, maybe half a year before I'll be pushed out to 51.
I think a few guys that were going to be in that top 50 just got the boot. I don't know.
It's hard.
You might be solidified in there.
Yeah. I'm not sure who's voting. Both my parents have passed, so I'm not quite sure.
No, it's our boys at FlamesNation. They're good at lists. That's and I was looking, second in Selke voting. One year. I was like, 14 even strength goals.
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
Yeah, okay. We'll take that.
Yeah. You beat out Pep. Pep was 40. Well, I guess he beat you up by 2. Yuri Hoodler, 46. You beat out Glenn Cross.
Wow. Glenn's a shocker.
Yeah.
He's going to be sorry about that.
No, but you can flip that in our alumni games.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a bit of a gap there. Yeah.
I've done a lot of dinners and functions over the years with Patter. And the one thing that always you have to say, everyone remembers the Lanny goal.
Yeah.
Montreal Forum, out of the penalty box, nearly screwed everybody with the penalty, but no, we killed it off. And then he comes out and gets all the glory for scoring the big goal. You know who else has scored in that game? I mean, you don't win without the Colin Patterson goal that came earlier on in the game, right, Patter? No one remembers that.
It's just a game-tying goal for Lanny, if not for you.
Yeah, had Vernie got a shutout, I would have the game-winning goal.
That's right.
Come on, Vernie.
Friggin' Vernon.
Let's go.
My roommate. I tell him, stop the puck.
Do people still love getting you to tell the stories? Because every time I see out there, it's people, can I see the rink? And you tell us a story. So what was it like? And in Montreal Forum, the only team that ever, they still love it, don't they?
They do. And, and it's great to, revisit those years and the games, and especially that year in particular, and winning the cup. It I shouldn't say it never gets old, but it truly doesn't. I mean, it was such a special moment, and I always say that we probably should have won 2 or 3 Stanley Cups during that time frame, but you're lucky at the end of it to win one. I know so many great players that didn't even get a sniff at getting to the finals, let alone winning one. So I feel very fortunate, to be on that team, to win one, and to actually contribute at some point.
Now, you guys ran out of beer on the flight home with the cup. Is that right? You had to land the plane to get more?
Well, we're trying to get Cliff to land the plane in Winnipeg, of all places, to get more beer. And he said, no, that's,
we're good, fellas. Maybe just sleep this one off for a bit.
or just maybe getting the hard liquor,
Yeah. And wasn't it, it was Peter Marr's brother that got underneath to get the cup? Isn't that how, because
it was actually Al Murray.
Oh, was it Al Murray?
Yeah,
it's in the case.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was Al Murray, and they went down and they got they talked to the guys at Air Canada at the time to get the big, jaws of life out to cut the cup open and bring it up. It was great. So they put it in the back washroom and nobody knew about it. There's only a few people that.
So it was locked, and you guys literally cut it out of the box.
Literally cut it out. They had to get the jaws of life, as they said, to cut a thing. And so they got it on, and it was great because the pilot comes on and says, "Hey, we got a special guest." And then Lanny and Pep, I think, and Huntsy brought the cup out of there. It was spectacular. Yeah, it was really good. And just to have it, on the plane for the ride home was really neat. So we had, the wives could come, and, girlfriends, significant others, friends with benefits, whatever I think I've covered the gamut. So my wife couldn't come because we just had our first child, Stephanie, and that was during the Chicago series. So it was neat to have the cup, and I was sitting beside the cup for probably 45 minutes, and had some great impromptu pictures, with the guys, putting some beer in, having a drink out of it on the plane, and it was just really special.
Unreal. And Tyler, right next to you, our fine producer here, was suggesting that the tradition of the cup getting a visit with the players, that was the '89 crew that started that, or how did it come to be?
Yeah, it's interesting. You just put a picture up with Phil Pritchard and myself, and what happened was we were back for the NHL awards dinner, and I went up to the guy who was head of NHL security, Frank Torpy. He has an old New York cop, and he was head of NHL security. And so I asked him, I said, "Hey, Frank, my parents live in Rexdale. We're in Toronto. So can I get the cup back to my parents' place?" And he goes, "Colin, can't do it. The Oilers, they wrecked everything for everybody. And, it's in the bottom of pools. It's at, places that it shouldn't be. And, blah, blah, blah. It's high security." I said, "Okay, whatever." Because what they used to do was just take it to the city, and, the people and the guys in the city would, take it home or whatever. But it wasn't like a sanctioned event. So sure enough, around the corner comes Phil Pritchard. And Phil's the guy with the white gloves who you see in, in all the TV spots and on the ice when they present the cup. And so he said to me, "Hey, Colin, where do your parents live?" I said, "They live in Rexdale." And he goes, "Well, I can probably get it out there for you, tomorrow morning, say, 9:30 or whatever." And I said, "Yeah, sure." Well, a few pops later, and, we didn't have cell phones back in the day. And for the younger listeners, they can't imagine, being without cell phones. So,
how would you communicate, Colin?
Well,
I don't get it.
Yeah. How do you even do that? Right. So what happened was I had a couple buddies who sort of got their way into the NHL awards dinner. I barely made it in, and my buddies are already in there. Right. So I said, "You guys, you got to spread the word." So they went home, they phoned a few people, and I got home, maybe about 5 or 6 in the morning, because it was, just making sure everything was looked after at the awards.
Help clean up.
Yeah. Help clean up.
That's
and
nice,
do that. And then, so about 8 o'clock in the morning, I go, I better go up and down my street, and I phoned a few more people and said, you phone people and you phone other people, and we'll just get as many people as we can. And I went up and down my street. I went to, basically the first house was a neighbor and a good friend, Mr. Goodman and, Mrs. Goodman. And I grew up with their kids, but he was about 10 years older than my dad, so he's about 75 at the time. And I said, "Hey, Mr. Goodman," I said, and we hugged it out. Congratulations. All that. I said, "Well, listen, I got the Stanley Cup coming to my parents' place." I said, "You got to come." And he goes, "Oh, I'd love to," but he goes, "I got a dentist appointment." I was like, I said, well, here, give me the phone for a sec, rotary dial, and had the cord that could go like 30 feet. So I'm on the phone. I talked to the dentist, and I said, listen, at the receptionist, I said, we got this. He goes, tell him to come in whenever he wants. Big deal. So then I made my way up and down, and I coming back up, and there's this one guy, Mr. Carlo. He was a big German fella. I grew up with his kids too, but I put a puck through their window, like the basement window in like 1972, right? And I'm like, and and I was still nervous about it, right? So I knock on the door, and he answers. He goes, Colin Patterson, you put a puck through my window in 1972. And I'm like, okay, Mr. Carl. So at least you recognize me. That's good news. I said,
you don't hold a grudge.
Yeah,
yes,
I'd forgotten about it too. Yeah. I said, listen, we got the cup coming over, to my parents' place. So, and I told people, just bring whatever you have to drink, because in those days, liquor stores weren't open all the time.
Sure.
They had the beer store, and then they had the liquor store in Ontario. And so people were bringing homemade hooch and whatever they had. So, 9:00, there's a group of people, probably about 70 to 75 people on my parents' driveway. And, I'm expecting this big armored truck to wheel in and deliver the cup, and, away we go. Well, and people had made up signs too. A bunch of my neighbors had made up signs. It was actually really neat. So 9:00, nothing. 9:15, I'm like, I'm pretty sure he said today. But then I'm going, I don't even know Phil's last name. Right. All I know is Phil.
So the cup
guy, and I said, Phil, I go, and I go, I don't even know how to get a hold of him, like to phone him.
Yeah.
And I gave him my parents' address. You didn't have Google Maps or any, MapQuest back in the day. You figured it out, right? So I'm like, oh man, this could be really ugly. And, obviously everybody's starting to get a little, when's the cup going? I can hear it. Yeah. And they're starting to have a few of their drinks. And I'm like, oh, this could get ugly pretty quick.
So you start a riot, right?
Oh yeah. Right there in Rexdale.
Rexdale riot.
Be reading about it again. So about 9:30, this Toyota Tercel hatchback pulls up in my parents' driveway. I go flying down the stairs. I'm driveway, and I'm going, get this thing, because I think it's one of my buddies.
Yeah,
And
sure enough, not now.
Get your shit box out.
Yeah. And that's what I was, basically going to say. So he rolls down the window. There's no electric windows. He's rolling the window down, and it's Phil Pritchard. I said, Phil, oh, thank goodness. I said, when's the cup coming? He goes, I've got it in the back. So he has a Stanley Cup in the back of his Toyota Tercel hatchback, wrapped in bubbled plastic.
Yes.
He's driven on the 401 highway, busiest highway in Canada. And I go, oh my goodness. So he pulls it out, we get it unraveled, and we just had a fabulous time. He was probably there for about 5 or 6 hours. And, people were coming and going, probably had, 150 people throughout the day. And then Phil had to go and go somewhere else. But, you couldn't, now the rule is if you haven't won the cup, you can't hold it. And I know why they have that rule. My buddies have it over their head. And we're drinking stuff out of it, but it was an absolute fabulous time. So fast forward about 20, 25 years later, I get a phone call from this lady in Toronto who works for some film company. And she goes, yeah, I want to know about the, when you had the cup. And I'm like, who put you up to this? Did Lanny or was it Pep?
What have you heard?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, I know. So I click, and then phone's back again. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, good one. Yeah. Bullshit, click. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I get another phone call. It's Phil Pritchard. He goes, hey, Colin, it's Phil Pritchard. Hey, Phil, how you doing?
That's Phil, the cup guy.
Yeah. He goes, well, they're doing this thing on my top 10 moments of my time with the Stanley Cup. And that's number 1. And he goes, it was really the start of the modern day with the cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, from that, it took a couple of years to get probably some of the management on side with it, but then they started taking it to every player, because back in those days, obviously if you're a big name player, you'd get it, but just for your average player, you weren't getting it. So, I got back to Calgary, I ended up getting it for another half day, in Calgary, which was great. But yeah, that was the start of the modern day with a cup. And it's pretty neat to have that impact on.
And there's nothing like it, because I've been fortunate enough, whether it's through work or whatever, when that thing shows up, it's unlike anything else. They don't care the player, you want it, great. The cup is here. It takes over the room. It takes over the day. And you hear the argument all the time about, Major League Baseball or NFL or whatever. They can take those trophies wherever they want. There is nothing like when the cup shows up in a room.
It is
instant celebrity status.
And it's pretty special. And I mean, what people don't realize is, your name goes on a ring on the cup. And once the one ring is full, then they take the top one off. So you're essentially, if you can plan it right, you can be on it for 50 years, which you go, oh, that's a long time. Now I'm only on it for another 12 or 14 years, whatever it is.
Another lockout, Gary.
Yeah,
Logan
awesome.
O'Connor and Cale McCarr, Calgary guys. And I got to take my kids, who were 6 at the time, to go see Logan O'Connor at Flames Community Arena with the cup. Like, it is something. And their eyes are dinner plates, and the dads are getting a little misty, and even the moms are like, look at this. It's incredible.
Yeah, because Braden Point did the same thing too.
Of
He
course.
just showed up at Cardell in the south there and just walked out onto the ice with the thing. And kids were playing summer hockey. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you didn't know who Braden Point was, but it's somebody with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
This is the coolest thing ever. You look back at those teams, and we always have fun with Lanny because he is the nicest guy in the world. Everybody loves Lanny. You talk about being recognizable around the world and guy that gives back. But what was it like to win that thing for Lanny? Because you get kind of nostalgic over time, but to know where he was at in his career and how hard he had worked and all that, because you knew it was the end for him. And I know that in Tampa Bay, they did Dave Andrechuk and obviously Ray Bork that had to have been something that meant a lot to you guys to see him finally get that thing.
Absolutely. And we were like, I don't think people understand, like in the old rinks, the dressing rooms were like worse than a city rink, and we had 2 dressing rooms in Montreal, and they were sort of, joined, but I mean, it was very disjointed the way the dressing rooms were. And Lanny and I were dressing beside each other, but we had sort of a pillar between us. And I had just happened to get some new sticks that day, which is a longer story. But I was looking at Lanny, and Lanny said to me, I've scored my first goal in the Montreal Forum. I hope to score my last goal here. And, it didn't really set in that, hey, he's telling me that he's probably going to retire, but that's what he's thinking. And I'm just going, Christ, I hope we even touch the puck this game, let alone, get a goal. I hope I stay out of the way of Gilmore and Mullen so they can play.
Yeah.
So it was really, it was great. And then when, we did win, and you saw the look on his face, and, him hugging the cup.
That photo is legendary stuff. He's just done.
Yeah.
He is absolutely exhausted.
He's reached spent. Everest, right?
He has nothing left to give. It's an amazing photo.
Yeah, and it was great, and I mean, and that's what I mean when you talk about, we won 1, which is great. Everybody compares us to Edmonton where they won 5. Well, we still won 1. You can look at, through those years, Vancouver, Winnipeg always had a good team.
Couldn't get out of the damn division.
Yeah.
That was the problem. Smythe division. You had 2 Titans in there.
Yeah. We had one year we were, I think we were number 1, or Edmonton was 1. We were 2. And then Winnipeg was number 5 in the league.
Wow.
That was in the league, and then in our division, obviously we're 1, 2, and 3.
Round 1.
And somebody's gone.
Yeah. Who deserves, because you hear a lot about Theo and you wonder about Verney, guys that should be in the Hall of Fame. Because you forget, you see Vernon because the Red Wings had their celebration recently for whatever, how many anniversaries. You talk about getting old.
With that rivalry series too, right?
Shanahan and Yzerman and FACEOFF and all those guys come out. It's like, yeah, he was in net for that one too. They don't win without him. You don't win without him.
You don't get out of round 1 without him.
Yeah. And he was MVP obviously in Detroit.
Yeah.
And it was between he and Al McInnes for MVP in our year. Conn Smythe, for the playoffs. And I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think, Theo's got great stats. I think another guy you can look at is Gary Roberts.
Yeah.
When you look at Gary Roberts' stats versus Cam Neely's,
Yeah.
He scored, I think, 50 and 50 coming back from injury.
Yeah. And Gary had a life, injury that could have, put him out forever. And he came back from that, which was absolutely incredible.
Came back as an elite player.
Yeah.
Came back as one of the best players in the league.
And feared.
Oh, yeah.
Guys feared him.
Tough as nails. And great guy. And, he really, that's when he sort of shifted, and became sort of that guru on fitness.
Mm-hmm. After he fixed his back, right?
Yeah. I remember he was, I was retired by the time, but he was, using one of those Swedish, balls that you get on and you do your exercise. He goes, yeah, you get on and, you take the free weights, you do this. So I got on, I had it in our bedroom, and I go, I get the free weights. Well, it catapulted me like fucking right into the dresser, and then I can fly him back. I go, I'm not touching this thing again.
No more yoga balls.
Oh, yeah,
I see it works for you. You're in great shape.
Great.
I'm going to do what I do over here. So what's up for the, we'll wrap it up with another shot of the graphic and the toy drive. But between now, are you done shopping? We were talking about before we went on, about 11 days here.
Yeah.
You in good shape?
I'm one of those, sort of last minute type guys. Yeah. It's surprising. But, I always think about, what should I get? And then, in the last couple of days, it's easy to just go out and get it. That's my theory.
It's not busy at all. You're the only guy there.
Yeah, I'm the only guy there. So especially, if you take it even longer, you catch a few other guys with the same mindset, and you can chatter up, and you might end up with the same gifts. Getting a discount.
Go F1, I'll go over here.
Yeah, that's right.
Right back to the till.
Flames Canucks tonight. Not thoughts on that, but just what you're seeing with this Flames team as we head into the new year.
Well, I think from here to the new year could be the whole season. I mean, I think they got 6 or 7 games, a lot of them, against rivals, and
finally some divisional games. Right?
Yeah,
those are games there.
They're 4-point games, and where they are now in the standings, as you guys talked about early on, this is a huge game for them. And it's just the consistency hasn't been there from last year, and obviously there's lots of things that have changed, and you'd hope that they can gel together and be better. But in order to do that, you got to be healthy too as well. And they've had a few, injuries, and then your goaltending has to be, top shelf too. And I know that, it's been up and down a little bit, but that's what they need. They, if they can get the goalie to win a few games for them and get that confidence, and then you start just clicking. And, you saw it last year, and when things, started to go well, they went well, and they couldn't even tell you why they're going well. It's just, it happens.
And I don't know if it's a good thing, but we talk about it a lot sometimes. When you have really good goaltending, it'll hide a lot of the warts and a lot of the flaws, and they don't have that goaltending right now. So I feel like you're seeing the flaws. The power play could be better. The PK is pretty good. If that goaltending can start to really kick in, the flaws aren't debilitating.
No.
You can overcome them with better goaltending.
That 7-game skid we're talking about was like, well, Hero hasn't been himself. The decor has been really loose. It doesn't look like a Sutter team. The work ethic's sort of been just okay. Like, these are all things that are going to get better. But again, you need those saves.
Yeah, and you need them early on too.
That's been a thing too.
I think part of it is they've been down, 1-0 in first minute or two, and in quite a few games.
Yeah.
And it's tough because your mindset as a player as well. One is we're behind. We got to get that back, but we got to get ahead. And sometimes you take risks that you don't normally take, and then all of a sudden you're down another goal. And if you can't score, then it's even tougher.
Let's talk about the toy drive before we let you go. Friday night, St. Louis Blues are in town. Bring your toys, drop them off. Alumni going to be there. Get your autographs all week at the TELUS Sky Building,
nice.
685 Center Street. I need my glasses. I'm getting a little pad. I can barely see on the screen.
I got a pair here.
And then 3 separate locations downtown. You have the Eau Claire Tower, the Centennial Place, and I just need to move my
Devon Tower.
There we go.
Yeah. And Big Otts, myself and Mason Raymond will be there tomorrow at the TELUS Sky.
Nice.
So myself and a couple of pieces of eye candy for the ladies. So
that's right.
Otts doesn't age, hey?
No, he doesn't.
Just like drink carrot juice and sleep in a hyperbaric chamber? What's going on with him?
It must be that. I'm not sure. But whatever beer he's drinking, I'm going to start buying.
Yeah, seriously.
And then Mason Raymond is, you talk about our alumni, and we get a lot of young guys coming in, and Mason's one of them, Curtis Glencross, Kami, all the, Corey Sarich, a lot of these young guys coming in that are really great at being involved.
Yeah.
And I feel really good about the future of our alumni because of those guys. So Mason's down there tomorrow. We'll have a ton of guys. I think we've got probably 12 or 16 guys going to be at the game on.
Love it.
Yeah. on Friday. So it'll
who's
be
the hot autograph? It says you get an autograph if you're dropping off a toy.
Yeah, well,
big cue for Patter. But after
I walk home with my 100 cards that I brought, it's typically Lanny. At that event we call him Lanny Claus.
Lanny Claus,
because people are lined up, and I mean it's amazing the draw he has and still has, and then I think number 2 is Commie.
Yeah,
Mike Commer, people love him. I go, there's a guy who's made so much of playing here and being part of the community. I mean, he played 13 games.
He played more in the playoffs in 04 than he has regular seasons total ever in a Flames jersey. Yeah. Like, it's wild when you're like, oh, that must have been 3 or 4 years of your life. He's like, no, it was like 3 months.
Yeah, it's crazy, Will, when you look at that. And obviously, there's certain guys that, age-wise, the population might remember, they might not.
Yeah.
But I always get, at the game of who are you?
Whose dad are you?
Yeah, I'm Colin Patterson. Used to play. Oh no! Huh. And then by the end of it, I just go, "Hey, I'm a friend of Lanny's." Oh, okay, yeah.
I played with Lanny. Yeah. Awesome work, man. We talk about it. It's just been years since I moved here and started doing this sort of thing. It's been you and Dana and Lanny, and you guys are still doing it today. So much money raised, so many people benefiting from all that you do. So as a Calgarian, thank you for all that.
Only team ever to raise Lord Stanley as a visitor in the Montreal Forum.
Yeah, it was pretty special.
No kidding.
Yeah, great times. Well, thanks for having me on. And, one Pleasure. Guy that I should give a plug to is Croner. Croner came out last week. We were doing the Superheroes of Hockey.
Oh, good. Superheroes is awesome.
And it was great. And he is such a good man. Like, he deals with the kids really well too. So
I think it's because he is still a child. That's my thesis.
Like there might be a few of us like that.
You still have to be able to make that connection. Got to be able to make that connection. Patter, good to talk to you. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You betcha. We're going to take a quick break and back with the Pinder Report. Stay there. Colin Patterson, good guy.
Great. One of the best. And just a phenomenal storyteller, glue guy. Like, we love Narrative Street, but championship teams have a few guys like that.
So many stories.
All of them.
And I've heard a lot of them, and they are all good. They're all great stories. Yeah, every player has stories, but you need to have the ability to lay it out there.
Yes.
Great storyteller.
Yeah. They had Electric Ave. We had the Red Mile in 04 as university-age Lugans, but it was Electric Ave.
He is right about Commodore.
Oh, yeah.
He's unique. He's a unique animal.
I don't know that there is an athlete as famous for being in a city as he is for the incredibly tiny amount of time.
Guy's kind of single, lives life by his own rules.
He's driving the Uber.
I'm here. I'm doing Uber. I'm on Spittin' Chicklets. I'm golfing. I'm in Europe. It's a fantasy camp. Where do I sign up?
It's done well.
And how much?
You've missed the boat. I'm sorry.
Things to do here before the end of the show. We've got some time here. I'm not rushing to get out of here, but we want to do the Pinder Report presentation of Village Honda. The $2 million buy-in event has been extended till the end of the month, so you've still got some time. You could win a cruise for two, only at Village Honda, Northwest Auto Mall, 7660 310th Ave Northwest, and online at villagehonda.com. It's the Pinder Report.
All right, Dino, game day tonight, 8 o'clock. It is Vancouver in town. And, well, what did we know about tonight's game for the Flames? Not a lot before morning skate, as the statuses of Mackenzie Weegar, who was ill and didn't play in Montreal, Chris Tanev, who got hit hard by a puck in the head and left the game in Montreal, and Elias Lindholm, who was dealing with something upper body and wasn't available in Montreal. Well, we've got some answers now. Lindholm skating in a regular line. That makes sense. Weegar back after illness on his regular second pair. That makes sense. No Tanev, which probably isn't stunning given the nature of his departure against Montreal. But 2 of the 3 in, certainly better than 1 of the 3 or none of the 3 in what's suddenly a pretty big game as they come home with only 2 of a possible 6 points on that road trip.
Did a little sniffing around yesterday as far as the injury or the status of Chris Tanev. Like you say, not a shock to see he's out today, but it sounds like maybe he dodged a bullet. Obviously, things could have been a lot worse, but we heard after post-game the tests came back negative, which was good news, and that no time frame.
Yeah.
But dodging a bullet is good news.
It is the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks have been a soap opera right from the beginning of the season when the GM and the coach were contradicting each other. Brock Besser, his lack of being traded over the summer, the extension for JT Miller, the latest chapter, never mind, Rachel Dory speaking through a lawyer about her time at the team, accusing some things that were not done properly. Now it's their captain who's having a career year and might flirt with 40 goals, Dino. That is a UFA this summer, of course.
Listen to the joy in your voice.
And it's he had to release this statement just days ago. I am focused on this season and playing for the Vancouver Canucks, helping the team in any way I can. I will not have any further comments this year about my future. So we get wild speculation between now, the deadline, and potentially all the way into this summer when he could leave for Zippo. He's having a monster year. He's a very good player. He's a leader. They love him.
Be awful for a team to have a player as a pending UFA come out and have a career year.
I just can't think
of anything. And leave for nothing.
Nothing. That doesn't feel like a lot. If you're wondering why it would be an issue for the Canucks, well, they just have had cap issues for seemingly ever since our buddy Andrew Walker said there's no cap issues there. They've been right up against it. It's been a nightmare for them, Dean. And so as a quick little example of it, there's the Canucks blue line, which is generally regarded as one of the worst in the NHL. Quinn Hughes, good young player, not stout defensively. OEL, long since his prime days. Tyler Myers was a third pair in Winnipeg on a very deep blue line, and now has finally worked his way down to third pair on a Canucks blue line despite making $7+ million. They're spending about $26 million for this, where waiver claim Ethan Bear is in the top 4. The Calgary Flames, meanwhile, if you want to understand why there's a cap pinch, for their decor, which is considered one of the better ones in the league, even with Oliver Shillington gone, $22.5 million. Do you see where the issues could crop up, Dean?
I see what you're
because they're not really comparable.
Right.
So the highest 2 paid defensemen on the Canucks couldn't crack the Flames' top 4. Now, I'm not here to go curse the game and Tyler Myers and OEL each score, But a lot of the issues in Vancouver have stemmed from bad money on players that looked like they were in decline, a lot of term, and not surprisingly, yeah, they were in decline. And now we're married to these guys because they're unmovable objects with their salaries, their contracts, and their cap hit.
And some of these guys, specifically Oliver Ekman-Larsson, is there and overpaid because they needed to shed other guys who were there and overpaid. So it's just kind of constantly kicking the can down the road.
Circle. It was Louis Eriksson, Jay Beagle, and Antoine Roussel's money that got moved. 1 year left on all those deals. And just one more year of paying. Nope, we'll bring on 7 years of OEL paying.
Now, if at the end of the day it costs them Bo Horvat, but they keep JT Miller and Quinn Hughes, and I don't know what they're going to do with Brock Besser. Elias Pettersson, if they can, is that Flames lost Johnny?
Well, Flames were a very competitive team that won their division and lost Johnny. This is a team that missed the playoffs last year, looks like they're going to miss this year, and would lose their captain and leading scorer. It's thinner margins there, and I don't know that it's working swimmingly here in a much more robust environment.
They're not happy there.
No,
for sure.
And it's owner down. A lot of the issues go right up to the owner's booth, and you wonder who's making decisions and what's going on with the culture of the organization.
As far as this year's team, they have no issues really scoring goals. I mentioned it earlier. Their power play since the middle of October is the best in the National Hockey League. Pettersson's been great, but they can't keep the puck out. Thatcher Demko, even before getting injured, was not having a Demko-like season, I guess.
Nope, not at all.
Because he's kind of established his
career worst year. Yep.
So now it's Spencer Martin and Colin Delia.
The other thing, Brock Besser, a lot of talk about his production. He's playing with Sheldon Dries as his center. Huh? I don't even know if I'm saying that guy's name right.
I know.
That's who Brock Besser's playing with. Okay. So he's on the third line and not scoring. It reminds me of last year when Elias Pettersson was on the fourth line and not scoring.
First meeting between the two. Canucks here again on New Year's Eve. Flames don't play in Vancouver until March 31st.
Is that when the 8 months of rain are done or no? It's still in there?
I don't know how that works. It's just, I get it's the schedule and I don't want to make the schedule and people always bitch about the schedule, but there are some weird oddities for sure.
The other one is they go to Edmonton once and they play Edmonton as many times as they play St. Louis, the Flames. Like that was a weird one this year. Odd. We'll move along. So that's the story tonight, 8 o'clock. Big game for the Flames who aren't clear of the Canucks. They're absolutely right there beside them in the standings. And the Flames need to get things moving here with some divisional games coming up. Patter nailed it. A lot of divisional games and a lot of hockey between now and Jan 1 that will set up, the second half of the year. Where are you? Are you fighting for your life or can you start to work on some things here? We'll move along. NHL, big night last night. I think it probably speaks to a player's skill level when something that we would have thought was impossible doesn't even awe us anymore because we've seen it so much. It would be like living in the city where Superman was and just seeing a guy zip around and, solve crimes. You just take it for granted. That is officially where we're at with Connor McDavid. Watch this goal and no one even blinks. Like, here we go. Yeah, just steaming through the neutral zone. 1, 2, 3, beat your goalie and raise my arms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just another. It's not even like that. That is the best goal a Flame has scored this year, except it's McDavid's 8th worst goal of the year.
Yeah, and there's 3 guys.
Yeah,
that are just
1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
yoink. And it's like, who left the puck for him in the neutral zone? That's a lovely assist. The D zone apple.
Yeah, primary assist on that.
Love it. Wasn't the only pretty goal last night. Let's go to Calgary boy Braden Point and the Tampa Bay Lightning, who put up some numbers last night. Point, we talked about it, bringing the cup to Calgary a couple times in the last 4 years. This one is another. This is a McDavid-esque one. Look at, see ya.
And what was crazy?
Look at the backhand, chintzy little backhand. This reminds me of was it the Phillips breakaway goal?
Yeah, it goes back up over the left shoulder.
Oh, saucy.
In Tampa, they were kind of riding him earlier in the game. In his celebration, he kind of skates around the net and he's holding his hand up to his ear. So now what do you got to say?
Been a quiet couple weeks, but he's now exploded his last 3 games.
Sure.
And
come home.
Bring him home. Bring him home. You know what?
They don't like you there. We love you here.
They're just easy. 1 for 1. The deal was 1 for 1. And speaking of hot blades and players staying hot, Tage Thompson continues to rage. Rage Thompson's what we're hearing. Here's the 82-game pace after another pair last night. It's on pace for 65. Has Ovi ever hit 65? I'm not saying he's going to get there, but this is the type of third of a year he's had.
44 points in 29 games. You mentioned another 2 last night.
125-point pace?
Not tap-ins.
No.
Just wiring wristers from all over the ice.
Bottom of the list, read it out for me. Can you see that?
167 high-danger chances.
And?
All of the highlights.
That's right.
That's what
he's got all the highlights.
100% of the highlights.
He's not the only Sabre having a good year. I wish we had Rhett, because it's kind of like if anyone was saying, oh, Rasmus Dahlin's breaking out this year. Well, you weren't paying attention to last year. Dahlin is almost a point per game player over his last 82 games. And that's another Sabre that's having a year. 72 in his last 82. 20 goals for a D-man. Do we see 20 for a D-man ever? That sounds pretty good.
And Craig Anderson is 90 years old.
Yeah.
Shutout last night.
I don't know that he should be allowed to wheel in there on the old with his cane. Like, that's an extra piece of equipment in the crease. Not fair.
43 career shutouts for Craig Anderson.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
43?
Former Flame.
Ooh. I'd forgotten that. Ovi. Speaking of ageless wonders, 37-year-old year, 3 away from 800. So maybe we'll keep a mic and a camera on him just to see what happens.
I saw that yesterday.
Night.
It's like, if Ovi gets a hat trick tonight, he could hit it.
Like, he's 37.
Okay, reaching.
He's
going to get a hat trick tonight.
Recalibrate the expectations. You can't just ask for a hat trick whenever you want one, right? Well, maybe you can.
Or a hat trick.
Have a look here. Look and listen. They had him mic'd up.
Was he mic'd up?
Yes.
Well, I think they had Chelios and some.
800. Alexander Ovechkin has done it. And here come the hats and the team.
On the road, the hats, Steve.
You have just witnessed the 800th goal for Alex Ovechkin.
Cleared the bench. Have a listen.
Mantha with a great forecheck. And just flips it right over to Ovi and boom.
But it's amazing of how Ovechkin always is in the right position. Never goes by the net. Always waits for the.
This is an Ovi chance in Chicago.
That's why he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, goal scorer in the history of our game.
Chicago.
Showing
great hockey town.
3 goals. What a performance. This is great.
Yeah, the 3 goals, he's got them in his hand. Here's the picture of him after the hat trick. What if 3 hatties on the night? Because Hyman had the hattie. Someone else had a hattie last night in the NHL. There, not bad. He's getting. He's got those natural highlights coming in, but he's still scoring like it's dark hair.
It's like a Fu Manchu thing going there.
There's Ovi, mic'd up.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
It's awesome.
240. It's very healthy, durable, and good at scoring goals.
I think on the Capitals website, they put together a video of all 800 goals. It takes about 15 minutes, but it's amazing to watch because they are not little dribblers. They are one-timers. They are wrist shots. It's amazing watching the way he has gotten to 800.
Multiple standing ovations on the road in Chicago last night, a hat trick.
If he catches Gretzky or not, he is the greatest goal scorer in league history. I don't know. I get there'll be an argument there, but the way he scores the goals in this day and age of goaltending with the gear and everything, and I still think he does get by Wayne, but he is the most pure goal scorer we've ever seen.
With him scoring at this pace, even if he cools off, he'll hit 50. If he gets to 50, all he needs is a couple 30-goal years, and he's basically there. Here's all the goalies he's beaten, Dean. There's 165. Alex, putting you on the spot, let's just zoom in and look around, because we found some – there was a while where there was some Flames goalies that it was like, where are we finding these humans and where are they going? See a little Kari Ramo down to the right. We got – there's Happy – I don't know. That's we're not going home.
There's Vladar.
Vladar has been beat by him. How about that? There's Dom Hasek, the Hall of Famer.
Saw Kipper is in there.
Freddie Anderson with the hair matching his jersey.
There's McElhenney in there. There's bald Craig Anderson.
If you go all the way to the right, Alex, and then the right margin, you can see Jason LaBarbera looks like he's a roadie for like, where is it? There he is, with the purple.
Yeah, that's good.
Are you traveling with Limp Bizkit? Are you one of the crew guys? That's awesome. Love Barbs. And there's your boy Kari Ramo, name bar on TV every night.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, he led, I think it was 500 or 600. He has one of the milestones as well in there.
It's a lot of guys that he's embarrassed, eh? There's Mike Smith on the left. Rest in peace, Ray Emery. Kevin Weeks breaking news every day. There's
congrats, guys.
Always in there. Wow. It's a lot of guys. And finally, from last night, if we didn't need any more confirmation, but just a reminder, the Anaheim Ducks really fucking suck. They're an awful team.
Jeez.
They're awful. Awful. Here are the Duck stats from the year. Still 1 regulation win. It's almost Christmas. Pat Verbeek, are you doing okay? Has he just locked his office door? Is he in the fetal position under his desk? On pace for 46 points?
If there's a year you're going to stink, try and win the lotto. It's Connor Bedard year.
Last in goals for, last in goals against.
See, that's not easy to do.
It's not.
Yeah.
And they've had a lead for about 6 minutes a game is on average. That's not very much.
And granted, they played the Leafs, who are on an almost
the Leafs good guys weren't even good. It was like the bottom 6 of the Leafs lit them up. I couldn't hit my bet because it was just plumbers scoring all the goals. Kerfoot had a pair.
15-game point streak for the Leafs. Their team record is 16.
Jeez.
So it's kind of an all-time clip.
I think Mark Spector's on the Christmas card list since that tweet. They've been on.
You can't help yourself.
Let's go to Buenos Aires, Dean, which is in the beautiful country of
Istanbul.
Close. Istanbul's a city in Turkey, but no, it's actually in Argentina, where the light blue and the white all the way to the World Cup final, awaiting their opponent today. It'll be the victor between Morocco and France. Do they like soccer/footy in Argentina? Right along with this camera here. Get the sound up too. This is unbelievable.
This is like drone footage. Recent. Nobody work in Istanbul?
This is, imagine there was like 50 countries good at hockey and Canada won gold. It's bigger than that. Not just like 7 countries good at hockey. Summer there too. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Jeez. Then later in the night, we have another shot from above. They're happy to party and celebrate this team. Leo Messi going for his first World Cup. Yeah. Look at that. That's all those little tiny dots. Each of those is a human. I wish I was there.
I know you did. I was going to say.
Be on a bender for the ages.
So many Pinders in that photo. Good God. You all right?
And finally, just it was good to get the fellas from the Barn Burner Flames Nation out for a little lunch yesterday. Holiday season. Good to shake paws.
It was nice.
Share a pint.
Yeah.
And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
So we got a few guys kicking around, but not everybody is going to be available. Of course, Rhett is never available.
No.
But we went out and had
the core of the Calgary-based Barn Burner team.
That's right.
Had a little lunch yesterday.
It was nice.
I went with the mac and cheese. I had a little nap after. It was fantastic.
Did you have a nap? I figured you might.
I just shut my eyes for 20 minutes.
The 5 pints didn't add to that, did it?
It wasn't 5, but it was that cherry porter 6.5%. It'll hit you.
Yeah, I know.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But
and there it is. Look, see, there's the Wolverine front right. Dean's leaning in behind him, and there's Princey and I on the left side of the table.
So which one's Princey and which one's the Wolverine?
Princey's got the hat that says CGY, and Wolverine has the hat that says B.
Because they're similar.
Yeah, I mean they're both. Yeah,
you
they're pretty much they're twins, I think.
You came up with the nickname. He does look a lot like a Wolverine.
Honestly,
especially in that shot.
I'm not great at a lot of things, but nicknames I feel like I got a good handle on. I can lay them out pretty good.
Well done,
Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to fellows. Happy holidays. That's your Pinder report.
There you go. Village Honda. Come and experience the all-new redesigned 2023 Honda CR-V at Village Honda, your dealership for life in the Northwest. Auto Mall, villagehonda.com. You were
for life.
I thought you put your hand up to say something.
For life.
I'm not sure what that was. Let's do our Betway bets of the day. The Flames and Canucks. We go with the game. If the Flames were in action,
why not?
We go with
right?
the game of the day. I was looking for not
a lot of value on there. Heavy
not a lot of value. So I kind of total power play goals.
Oh,
I'm going over 1.5.
Really?
Now I know the Flames power play hasn't looked good, and the Canucks are coming off a shutout loss.
They get Lindholm back on power play 1.
Prior to that, the Canucks had been pumping in the power play. Their power play's been good. I'm going over 1.5. So just give me 2. Plus 130 total power play goals. And I'm going to, it was one of these kind of specials that they had on the Betway app.
Yep.
Flames win money line.
Yep.
Elias Pettersson, 1 or more points, plus 110.
I looked at that. I like that. Patterson's just been awesome of late. There's a lot of problems in Vancouver. He's not one of them.
16 points in his last 12 games. A lot of points coming on the power play, whatever that's worth. So those are my 2 picks today for Betway.
I've got some similar vibes with you. I sort of feel a low-scoring game. Markstrom's been really dialed in lately. The goals haven't come easy for the Flames. Markstrom against his old team, we've seen some really sterling performances. So I'm going to take the under 5.5. That pays plus 135. And I'm also on Patterson with a point on the power play, paying plus 135. Not exactly what you bet, but some similarities there, some overlap. And I just wouldn't be surprised if this is a Jacob Markstrom signature. I'm back. This is my crease, baby. Thank you, Dan, for the 2-week breather.
There you go. Those are the Betway bets of the day. Nearly out of time. Wanted to mention, go to FlamesNation.ca. Today is the final day for the Top Shelf Elf Christmas campaign. We're taking all of the dough and handing it over to Closer to Home. Closertohome.com is their website, but we have 10 auctions up for grabs. They close at 10 o'clock tonight. Also, the donation page, the donations, and thanks to everybody who has found a way to do it. They've gone up here in the last couple of days. We'd love a last charge here in the last 12 hours or whenever you listen to this. 10 p.m. Mountain Time tonight. For every donation, 10 or more bucks, you get a South Street Burger voucher.
Free. That's awesome.
$25 or more, you're entered into the draw for a men's watch and a women's watch. Tissot watches from Gem by Carity. And, of course, the auction items, awesome. So much. ATB Financial came in with a couple, but they are great packages up for grabs that, again, 100% of the proceeds going to go to adopt a family for Christmas via Closer to Home.
Man, I'm really impressed. We talk about our boys, our guys, people that love the show for whatever reason, listening to us dopes, but we got, I'm looking at 4 packages over $1,000. That's unbelievable. That's incredible.
And the auction is, again, it is awesome. But I know I was talking with the Wolverine yesterday, and the donations, because if you're putting the bids in, you're hoping to win something. If you're donating, you're donating.
Yeah.
So that is,
and you know what? Like, you might not have $1,000 to throw in an auction item, but you might have 100 to help someone have Christmas.
Both of the links, FlamesNation.ca. You'll find them along the top.
Can't miss them.
Tomorrow we will have Retro back. We'll do Ask Rhett. You can get your questions in nowish if you would like for Hope Street.
There's Rhett. Look, he's waiting.
Good to see Rhett.
Turn the lights on, Rhett.
The email address, askrhett@flamesnation.ca. If you want to do it on social, use the hashtag AskRhett.
I've already had a couple people slide into the DMs with some questions. I said, why are you asking me this? Rhett played in the league and Ask Rhett's tomorrow. Don't be asking me these questions.
So that's coming up on the program tomorrow. Who do you like tonight?
I like Markstrom tonight.
I kind of do too. Don't let in one early, like Patter said.
Yeah.
But the way he played the other night, you hate that you didn't get 2 points, but it's encouraging to see how he's bounced back.
And if you look at the big body of work from Montreal, you had Stone and Zadorov as a top 4 when you lost.
Yeah.
Uyghur didn't go, and then Tanev's out. You didn't have Lindholm. Kadri was gone for a bit. I mean, that was the, hang on for dear life, try to get some points. They got a point. They're healthy now. I shouldn't say healthy, but Lindholm is in. Uyghur is in. I would expect the lines and the power plays to look a little better because there's a little more continuity and there's not the big shuffle we saw from the other night.
And first peak at Vancouver.
Yeah.
Weird that we're this close to Christmas. Haven't seen the Canucks yet.
And by New Year's, we'll be sick of them. Or not. We'll see.
One of us will. No question. Rhett back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.